My name is Karen McClelland. My husband Bill and I moved to the Villages in 2006, and the following year we became members of New Covenant United Methodist Church. But it's been a long road on our way to Methodism, and I'll give you a little of our background. We were both born and raised in a small town in Iowa, Clarinda in southwest Iowa. It's the same town that our fathers and grandfathers were born and raised in there. And when we were married, we expected we would probably spend the rest of our lives there as well. But I was a member of the First Christian Church, a Disciples of Christ Church, and Bill was a member of Westminster Presbyterian Church. The churches were right across the street from one another. Both of them were the old-style churches that had the steps to heaven in front. But we always said that we at the Christian church were closer to heaven because we had more steps. But Bill and I were married in 1957, and in 1959, we were blessed with the birth of our son, Craig. A year later, we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, a long ways from little Clarinda, Iowa. We moved there because of Bill's job, and all of our subsequent moves, except for one, were also because of Bill's job. While in Phoenix, we attended Westminster Presbyterian Church, but we were not very active there. And I can't really give you a good reason, except that maybe it just didn't seem quite that as inviting as some places. So after 3.5 years in Phoenix, we were transferred back to Iowa for a year, and then up to Hopkins, Minnesota. The closest church to us there was the Good Shepherd Church in Wayzata, and there again, we were not very active for a variety of reasons. I just started a new job, Craig was just starting to school, Bill was gone all the time with his job, and we just didn't get involved. But after that year, we were fortunate enough to be transferred to Lawrence, Kansas. And we became members of First Presbyterian Church, which is now West Side Presbyterian Church. We became more involved there, and with the choir and just in things in general with the church, being involved in church dinners and socialization. And I was going to school at the University of Kansas, and Craig was in school, and the second year that I started my year at the University of Kansas, we adopted Melissa. Melissa came to live with us on October 31st, 1967. And what a blessing she was. From Lawrence, Kansas, we moved to Bridgeton, Missouri. And the Presbyterian church that was close to us there was a small, quaint church. Looked very, very inviting from the outside. But on the inside, unfortunately, the members were not all that friendly. We would go in and sit down, and very often, no one would say anything to us. You know, they accepted our presence there, but they really didn't invite us to do anything. So we were just there to worship God and nothing else. After that year in Bridgeton, Missouri, we moved back to Iowa, but we were in Creston, Iowa at that time. And there we spent 10 years. And we got Craig through high school and a couple of years of college, and Melissa into middle school, ready to start high school. But we were very active there. I directed the choir for 5 years. I started the youth choir, and even had a high school group of kids that played music for us with the choir or by themselves. They were a great group. I say that because Craig, our son, was part of it. So I'm prejudiced, I admit that. We were in Creston for 10 years. It was hard to leave there. We were involved in so many other things besides just the church, so many other things also within the church than just the choir and the music end of it. But we moved to Northfield, Minnesota then, and there is no Presbyterian church in Northfield, Minnesota, which was a big surprise to us. So we looked around and we decided that probably the closest thing at that time to Presbyterianism was United Church of Christ. And they have a wonderful First United Church of Christ in Northfield, Minnesota. We loved it there. I was working for St. Olaf, and which is affiliated more with Carleton College, or similar to Carleton College, but loved living in Northfield. It's a beautiful town, lots of arts and music going on there, and got involved highly with the church there and also in the community with the music community. Unfortunately, we were only there for about 3 years before we were transferred to Omaha, Nebraska. And there we became members of Faith Presbyterian Church in La Vista, Nebraska. And there again, I was given many opportunities to be involved, which was great. I was president of the United Methodist Women, United Presbyterian Women at that time, and active in the choir. I taught Sunday school for 3rd and 4th graders, and it was a vibrant, alive church, very welcoming. From there, we were transferred to Grand Island, Nebraska, out toward the middle of the state, and we became members of First Presbyterian Church. But there again, we encountered a church that was more focused just on coming to church on Sunday and worshiping, and I saw little opportunity to do anything else there except sing with the choir, which I did, but I always expected to be involved in a little bit more. After 3 years in Grand Island, excuse me, we were transferred to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there we became members of St. Andrew Presbyterian Church. Again, a very alive church, mission-driven church, people that were involved in feeding the homeless. We cooked meals at the church and then hauled them down to inner city Albuquerque to feed the less fortunate. It was just such an exciting little church to be a member of. And from there, we were transferred to Door County, Wisconsin. Now, our friends in Albuquerque thought we were totally nuts to leave the land of enchantment and move to the frozen tundra. But we did. We knew what it was like to encounter snow and ice and all of that. So we took that challenge. But, well, we weren't really transferred. I should back up. We weren't really transferred. I had retired from my job with the Social Security Administration. I'd been with them for 24 years. And Bill retired from his job with Wix Corporation. We had both been offered early retirement about the same time, which was just exciting for us. We thought at first that we would just retire. But then I asked Bill one night, what is it you'd like to do that you've never had the opportunity to do before? And he said, well, I've always wanted to own a campground. And I thought, wow, that doesn't sound much like retirement, but okay. So we started looking, and we looked, this was prior to retirement, we looked from northern United States up to the Canada border, down to the Mexican border, and from New York to California. We found a number of places that were interesting. It took us about a year to find just exactly the right one, and that's the one that happened to be in Door County, Wisconsin. It was just outside of Sturgeon Bay. We were there for 10 years, 10 really exciting years. And there again, there wasn't a Presbyterian church. So we went to Hope UCC Church. And again, it was an exciting, vibrant church. They weren't so much mission driven outside of the church, but they were driven on welcoming people into the church, trying to build the church, and that is always exciting to me. At Hope Church, I sang in the choir and did a variety of things. I was very active in the women's group, and but what I'm getting at is all of these opportunities were laid before me, either laid before me or not laid before me at all. And that is what makes the church. The church is not this building, as we've been told over and over again. The church is the people. The church lives outside of this building. And coming here and learning about Methodism was a new experience for me, but it just seemed to speak to everything that I believe. And that is that we're put on this earth to serve one another. And we can do that in a variety of ways. We can do that through worship. We can do that through mission. We can do that just talking with friends in the choir. Every place you go, you have the opportunity to share your faith. And I'm not sure that I have always been really good about doing that. But since I've been here and I've been hearing other people open up and talk about their faith, it makes me more willing to do the same. So I'm afraid I bored you a lot with all of that moving here and there and across the country. But it tells you that it's like I was on a mission. I was on a mission that finally landed me here, that landed me in a spot where I feel so welcome. I feel so involved. I feel so loved by so many people. And I will say that the church in Creston, Iowa, and the church here really showed us how loving and caring a church can be. When we were in Creston, we had a serious car accident that gave Bill some serious injuries and our daughter as well. But the church, and we happened just outside of our hometown, which was 65 miles away from where we were living. But the people from our church in Creston, Iowa, came to our rescue. They drove down to see us in the hospital, some of them. They offered to take us home, although at that point in time I wasn't sure I would ever call in a car again, but I did. They surrounded us with love in the months and years following that, to make sure that we were okay, to make sure that we had everything we needed, to make sure that Bill was able to get to his doctor appointments in Omaha. And even a friend who, I call her a friend, but she was not the closest friend to me. I thought she was a little cold and put offish. But she was one of the first ones to come, or to call me on the phone and tell me that she was going to take me to the next meeting of the arts organization that we were part of. And I dreaded it. I dreaded it. And she came, and I found out what a warm person she really is inside. She just has a hard way to showing it. So you just never know never need to brush people off because they may seem uninviting at first. That was a big surprise. And then coming here to the villages, we've had so many things happen to us since we've been here. Bill's had 10 major operations. And a year and a half ago, we lost our daughter, Melissa. And who were the first people to come to our rescue? New Covenant, of course. Pastor Harold and Pastor Ellen and Sean and Pastor Gary and all of the people that were praying for us and would come see us, Pastor Marilyn. I just can't even begin to list all of them. But these people in this church made us feel so cared for that we really have nothing to worry about. We know we always have friends who will come to our rescue if we have a need. You know, in all of these moves, we didn't know each time we accepted a transfer whether it was going to be the right thing to do. But we put our hope and trust in God that everything would work out. And it did. Every time it worked out. We had no major problems other than our health and accidents and deaths, but no major problems at all with any of our moves. And so I leave you with this Bible verse that always stuck with me, and that's Romans 15:13. And may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with the hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. So go out there, love, laugh, and be joyful. Thank you.